Hello, everyone, and thank you for coming back and joining us with another episode of Little Big Authors. I am your host, Miss Tiffany. And if you were with us last time, you know we had an adult author. Well, this time we have another adult author for Little Big Readers. Her name is Shelly Edwards, and I'm so excited to meet her, and I know you will too. So please let's join us, Shelly Edwards.
Hey,
Hi, how are you today?
good. I'm doing good. How are you?
I am doing well. I'm so excited to talk to you and to hear your book. Um, can you tell everyone a little bit about yourself?
My name is Shelly Edwards. I'm originally from Boston, Massachusetts. I've lived in Charlotte for about 12 years. Um, I can always say I've been a writer. I've journaled since I was 12. Never thought about writing a book until a couple years ago, but I always saw myself as creative. I love writing. I've been writing my whole life. This is just the first time I've ever written anything published. I have three children, um, and I love to travel. I love to swim, and I just love adventures. I love adventures.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. And my first question, or my second question to you, is what inspired you to write? So, since this is your first published book, what inspired it?
Well, my boys and I always played a game in the car. Bringing them to school was so boring. So it was always like, Mom, if you could have a superpower, I know kids always ask this question, what would it
Mhm.
be?
Right.
So we would always do that. And they would tell me why. I said, so I love the beach. And
Hmm.
I said, I would just want to just if snap my fingers and be on the beach, be in another country. And that's just what I've always wanted, the power to just teleport.
Yeah,
I thought it was cool. And
it is cool.
so we were talking, and my kids always, they had their own little action figure series that they would
Hmm.
talk. And I said, I heard about this self publishing on Amazon, KDP. I said, I think we should write a book. And my boys were like, really, Mom? And I was like, I'm going to try it. So I just started writing it down,
Hmm.
and I looked for a publisher, and my sister just was like, yeah, let's do it. And she edited it for me. So it came off of the idea. But then when I knew there was a free self-publishing app, I was like, I can do it myself. I don't have to pay anybody. So this is just years of me and my kids daydreaming and them like fighting bad guys and talking about
Hmm.
dimensions and portals and all these so we just decided, you know,
This was like a family effort, like a family
yes,
project that
yes,
everyone was able to do together. That
yes.
is wonderful. That's beautiful.
We all talked about it, and then I wrote everything they talked about. These are all the stuff they would say. This is all their personalities.
Oh, well, I'm excited to hear. I want to know some of these personalities. And real quickly, if I had a superpower, I think I would want to either be able to read people's minds or be invisible.
Yeah, you see?
I think I
It's
would like
actually contagious when someone asks you because you really
it
think about it.
is. It is.
Yeah.
Well, without further ado, we are excited to hear about your story. So, what is the name of your book?
The day I became a superhero. So I didn't want to
Girl.
use the word heroine because for kids, I was like, that's just too complicated. So I just
Mhm.
said hero and I put the female symbol. Just say girls can be heroes too.
Of course, absolutely. Well, I'm excited to hear it. So one day, the day I became a hero. All
Yes.
right, let's listen.
Thank you. The Day I Became a Superhero. Hero by Shelly Marie Edwards. The Day I Became a Superhero. Written by Shelly M. Edwards. Illustrated by Janine Henning. Edited by Monique White. This story takes place on an average day in my world when I take my boys to school, as always in the car. The topic is Mom, if you could have any superpower, what would it be? This question, so innocent, actually becomes a real life situation, or is it? Come join us as we take on these super bugs while staying connected as a family. My goal is to make every child dream and every parent laugh. Laugh. Since small, I always been a daydreamer and a writer. As a parent, I try to foster imaginations in my children. I appreciate all those who have taken the time to read this book, share it, live it, dream, or actually write their own. It starts. My three children, Maya, Kaveh, Kasim, and I would play a game called If You Had Superpowers, What Would They Be? One day while driving my kids to school, my son Kaveh asked me, Mom, if you had a superpower, what would it be? I replied, I would have the superpower of teleport. I would love to travel to any place I would like to at any time because being a mom can be stressful at times and I need breaks to the beach. Kasim said, Mom, I would like the power of fire so I can throw balls of fire and help destroy bad guys that try to hurt other people. Kaveh said, my superpower would be to make air move the way I want, fast or slow. And this is us in the car, daydreaming away of our superpowers and what we all want to do on the way to school. One morning I awoke and couldn't decide if I wanted just to sip a cup of coffee or writing my journal. Or should I just go for a walk? The coffee won. I fixed my coffee and sat down. Ow! What in the world did I sit on? Legos? A pen? What? I turn around and look, and I discovered Legos that were left laying around by my sons. I yelled out and noticed none of my children had did their chores. Okay, now I'm upset. I look around at the mess and whoa, I see a bubble. Huh? In the bubble, I see the beach and the brightest sunshine I ever saw. Oh my goodness, I yelled. I touched the bubble, and lo and behold, I'm at the beach. This is me in the kitchen with my cup of coffee and the mess that the children have made. And that's me with the bubble. I was at the beach. That didn't look familiar to me, but it didn't matter. I was at the beach by myself, all alone with no kids. After about an hour, I was back in my home with my kids trying to waken me, and all I hear is, Mom, where were you and how did you get here so fast? I had no answer that could make sense to any of us. All I know is I was at the beach and it was great. I remember that I was very angry that my kids did not do their chores. And just when I wanted to explode, I teleported to the beach. Oh my goodness. I really do have superpowers. The rest of the day went by in a blur. What is happening? The next day was going by peacefully. By noontime after lunch, since it was Saturday, I decided to take the kids to the local park. As the kids run off to play, I walk around mesmerized in my own mental world. After some time, Kaveh and Kasim run up to me yelling, Mom, Mom! Kasim shouts in one breath. Then Kaveh interrupts, Mom, guess what just happened? I screamed, What? They both at the same time say, We both have superpowers also. I put my hand on my hip and said, Stop. Are you both sure? Why do you think you two have superpowers? You two are giving me a scare. No, Mom, Kasim says. Watch this. Kasim closed his eyes and threw his hand out, and I see a ball of fire hurled into the air at a tree. The tree burst into flames, and I grabbed my mouth in fear of the bad words I felt was about to spill out of my mouth. I looked at them both and looked around and grabbed my hand and grabbed their hands and said, "We've got to go home now." I closed my eyes and I knew what would happen. I was so glad to have this power at the moment. Blink. We opened our eyes to the safety of our RV, and all of us holding hands, my heart beating like a drum. I was so scared. What do I do? What do I do? My sons just nearly burned down the park. I was paralyzed. I didn't want to let go of his hand. What if he threw another ball of fire and burned down the whole RV park? I was scared of my own son. Now my baby boy, who stared at me with eyes that wanted me to be so proud of his powers. I was scared and I held their hands so tight. I began to feel wet and sticky hands and hear the boys say, "Mom, you're hurting our hands. Let us go." I looked at Kasim and I said, "I need you to promise me you will not throw another fireball unless I tell you to. Promise me." "Yes, Mom, I promise," said Kasim. This is them two at the park. Kaveh with the wind, Kasim with the fire. So excited to have these powers. Didn't know what to do. Now Kaveh squeals in excitement. "Mom, isn't it this cool? I think I have the power of air. Do you want to see?" "No," I said. "Please do not use your powers right now unless I tell you to. It's too dangerous if people know this about us. We could wind up in some lab being tested and treated like animals. Do you want that to happen?" "No, Mom," they both said. "Okay, I don't want to lose you, my babies, the best part of me." I began to cry, and the tears just fell down my face like raindrops, one by one, and I couldn't hold them back. My boys and I hugged each other tightly, and I told them, "Boys, we've got to be careful. This is a blessing and a curse all in one. Let's pray and ask God to show us the way." Kasim grabs my hand and begins to pray. We all bow our heads, and at that moment, my son showed me how brave children can be. And I needed them. I needed my boys to give me courage. Later that day, I took a much needed nap while the boys went out to play. I was asleep for a few hours when my cell phone started ringing, louder than normal, it seemed. It was my daughter, Maya. She sounded very alarmed. "Mom, why in the world are you and the boys on the daily news?" "Huh?" I replied, and she repeated herself. I quickly said, "Come home, quick." Suddenly, I heard a loud banging on the door. See, we live in an RV and the door is very thin, so any banging will sound thunderous. "Bang, bang, open up. Mom, please hurry," says Kaveh. I rushed to the door and let him in, with Kasim right on his heels. What followed Kasim was a long, hairy leg, and I shut the door on it. "Oh my goodness," I yelled. "What is that?" "Mom, it's a big, giant cockroach." I looked out the window, and what I saw was something I just could not fathom. A giant cockroach with a giant centipede right behind it. Okay, one thing that I do not like at all, that I'm totally afraid of, is roaches. This cannot be happening. I'm dreaming. I have to be. After about 10 minutes of us looking around, panting and panicking, there was another loud bang at the door. "What now?" "Mom, it's Maya." Phew. I opened the door, and in comes Maya with some strange men in suits behind her. "Mom, these men would like to talk to you," she says with a strange look on her face. I can't imagine why, but I sure hope they saw those giant bugs outside and they do something to protect us. These are the men that came in with my A. Miss Edwards, one guy says as he steps forward to shake my hand and introduce himself. Hello, I am Mark Winters, a Special Forces agent with the U.S. government, protecting families like you from things not of this world. If you know what I mean. As he leaned in like it was a secret he had to tell me. We have been watching your family for some time. Once we noticed you were being watched by superbugs, an insect group that used to be a bunch of criminals that made their way into a lab messing around with chemicals. Now they are mutated into whatever your worst fears are. Okay, well, Mr. Winters, what do you want with us? Well, Miss Edwards, said another agent as he stepped forward with a book. He opened it and I saw pictures of tons of families, as well as my own. Folks in this book, these are pictures and names of families like yourselves who have special powers. Their plan is to take all of you and mutate you like them and terrorize the USA and eventually the whole world. I stood in shock, my mouth and eyes wide open. Maya said, Oh no, not us. Why? The boys began to tell the agents about the almost attack on our RV. The agents all agree that we must leave our home and right now. Mr. Winter helped us load our belongings in the car while the boys and Maya talked to the other guys, asking as many questions as possible. I was able to breathe out a relieving sigh. Once we all got in the car and were on our way to the agent's headquarters in New York City. In New York, we are to get new identities and new lives. Once we got to the headquarters, we were met by a female agent named Stephanie Smart. Miss Smart said she was happy to have us, and we just made it in time because Charlotte, North Carolina, our home place, was now under attack by giant bugs. She led us to a special secret room for people to showcase their superpowers. I showed her my ability to teleport. Kasim showed her ability to create fireballs. And Kaveh showed how he could move air. Miss Smart was very impressed with each of our superpowers and explained how we will be an asset to the rest of the team when it's time to fight the giant bugs. We were excited and frightened at the same time. What was going to happen when the giant bugs showed up in New York? Would we survive this? Oh my goodness, so much to think about. This is us taking a break. We arrived in New York City, just hanging outside the car, thinking, what are we going to do? Mom, wake up. You promised to take us to the park, was what I heard through brain fog. It was Kasim waking me up. I was totally dreaming the whole bug thing. Phew, but it would have been nice to be a superhero. The end. This is me. It was all a dream. And I'm in my bed, so happy that it was a dream, but sad because I wanted superpowers. Thank you.
That was so good. Thank you so much for
You're
sharing.
welcome.
Yes. So, what advice would you give to anyone looking to write their first book?
Well, for me, battling with writing, growing up having dyslexia as a child. So I would write, but like sentences and punctuation, that's what stopped me from really writing a book all these years because I'm like, who's going to edit it? I was more nervous and to be embarrassed.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But, I was like, there's editors out there. So I would tell people just start, just write. Don't even overthink it. dump your ideas, brainstorm, journal, computer.
Hmm.
There's so many editors out there today that would
Right.
take your idea and turn it into something beautiful.
Absolutely.
And Amazon has a free self-pub. There's so many self-publishing things today too. Like, it's good.
Well, thank you so much, Shelly,
You're
for being with
welcome.
us today. I really enjoyed listening to
Thank
your book.
you.
If people wanted to get in touch with you, where could they reach you?
My email is the best way to reach me, ShellyEdwards097 at gmail.com.
All right. Well, that's the email, everyone. So reach out to her, get a copy of that book so everyone can read it, so you can read it over and over again. Again, everyone, thank you so much for joining us. It has been a pleasure listening to Shelly. If you know anyone who is an author, whether they're an adult or a child, please send them our way. We would love to interview them and have them share their book for everyone to enjoy. Again, I am your host, Miss Tiffany Grantham. If you want to know more about programs that the library has, please visit cmlibrary.org/calendar. And I hopefully see you next time. Bye.